Hey, Pastor Scott here. I want to offer you a word of encouragement today. We continue on in this season of anxiousness and uncertainty and fear. And it seems like it's heightened with all of the civil unrest in our countries. We feel so divided. And so, what do we do during this time? I remember from a John Eldredge podcast a while back, a verse that really has stuck with me, and I want to share that with you today. And it's Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Above all else, the most important thing you can do is to guard your heart. Why? Because everything you do flows from it. So how do we protect our heart? From what position? From what location? We stand in front of our hearts, and we guard and we protect, and we don't let anything into our heart that might bring damage or uncertainty. And we meet it there, and we go, no, not today. Because it's easier to keep something from getting in than trying to root it out. You ever had a bird in your house? We did years ago, and I still remember it. I mean, you're talking about a fiasco. I mean, the bird's in the house, it's flying around, it's running anything, and, you leave the stove running, you leave the water running, and everybody's in, you're trying to figure out, it's just pandemonium trying to get the bird out, and then when you get the bird out, you got to clean up after the bird. So, the easiest thing to do, the best thing to do is just to keep the bird out of the house, and in the same way, we need to guard our hearts. We need to stand in front of them. And regardless of what we might feel fear, but we don't let it in. Jesus says this, and this is an incredible teaching when you think about it in its context. It's Jesus teaching his disciples in John chapter 14. He is preparing them for his death. He knows what they are about to experience. They're about to experience his gruesome beating and his horrendous crucifixion. And he is going to know the depth of despair that they're going to feel. And listen to what he says to them in John chapter 14, verse 1. Do not let your hearts be troubled. I take that as a commandment. Do not let your hearts be troubled. So even though you might feel something, you stop it before it gets into your heart. And then the next sentence, when it's put together, it is so incredibly powerful to me. So again, John 14:1, Jesus saying, do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God. So don't be troubled. You believe in a God who loves you to the point that he sends his only son to die for you, and he demonstrates his power by bringing a dead man back to life. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Don't let that in. Keep that out. And what I hear in my spirit today is, listen, don't let fear in. Don't let anxiety in. Don't let hostility and hatred and malice in, because it's a lot harder to get out than to keep it out. So today, be encouraged. There's a reason that the proverb writer and Jesus talks about guarding your heart, because it's a real thing. And even though we may feel things, we remember Jesus saying, you believe in God. Let's focus on that. And let's be encouraged. Amen.